Hi again. I am Fathom and I am the founder of Other Fiber Creations, and today I'm making a project I shouldn't. This is my third time filming the opening, I'm going to be honest, so I'm sorry in advance if I sound tired, because I am. If you are new here, welcome. If you're old here, welcome back. My name is Fathom, I'm 26 and I run my own crochet business. But today's video doesn't have a lot to do with that. No. I'm sorry. I have to laugh at myself or else I'll cry constantly. And if you see me looking over, I'm looking at the movement of myself on the screen. My bad. So today we are making the Lotus Mandala vest by Morale Fiber. I, in a previous really old video, made the Lotus Mandala duster. That is probably the top viewed video that I have ever made, like long form. I'm not making this again because it was a well-viewed video. I'm making this for a very different reason. That last one is currently available on my site. I made that for sale. It has not found its forever home yet, and that's okay. Sometimes it takes time for these projects to find a place to go. Today's one, though, will have a home in 9 days. I've not been commissioned. I'm making it because I want to for a friend. Oopsie! I've moved you because the camera keeps falling. So, I take part in what's called LARPing, live action role playing. Live action role playing is a type of role playing game where you physically dress like your character, and your character's actions are based off what you physically do. If I want to run away from the monster, I don't roll to see if I get away with a dice. I physically go run away. The group that I play with, we play with Echo's LARP. It takes place at state parks across Georgia and Tennessee. It is a lot of fun. We play about 7 months out of the year, with breaks for the hottest months of the year and the holidays. This month, I am filming this video September 3rd to give you context. This month, September, marks the 3rd year of Echoes being a game. Many LARPs have been going for decades. This one, I joined the very first game of Echoes. And September 12th to 14th, the days that I'm at this event, marks the 3rd anniversary of the game going on. On top of that, it also marks a lot of people's first game. Every game is someone's first game, is what I've learned. I'm kind of the town's unofficial welcoming committee. So I've learned a lot about a lot of different players and things like that. Also, I'm sorry the camera's moving. It's sitting next to my leg because it kept falling over on a different stand. Oops. I have made friends with a lot of these LARPers, and one of them, her kid is coming to LARP for the first time. And the mom is unable to be here because physical illness happens. The kid is still coming, though, on their own. When I say kid, they are in their 20s. I just say kid because they are younger than I am. Since their mom is unable to be here, and since me and the kid get along, I thought it would be good for them to have something fun and fantastical to let them know that they are very welcome in this community. So I'm going to make them one of these vests. Should I? Considering I'm supposed to be market prepping for my biggest market ever, here's where you can come see me in person if you want to do that. Probably not my smartest move. Am I gonna do it anyways for the content, for the fun, and for the friendship? Absolutely I am. The Lotus Mandala vest by Morale Fiber, the big thing about them is that you want to get scrappy. You want to pull out tons of fun texture, tons of fun color, and mesh it together and have it kind of transition between as best you can. This worked well because it's Stash Bust September, right? Stash Bust September is the name of it. When it came to making a color palette, though, I've pre-built my color palette, in case you're wondering. The big thing is that I wanted to make sure it matched the color of the character they're coming in as. So I sent them a message. I was like, hey, for no reason in particular, what color palette is your character gonna wear? And they're like, oh, my character's gonna wear blues and pinks and purples and greens and browns and whites. And I was like, okay. nice strong color palette. They're coming in as a plant person, like I play. If you want to hear more about my character, you can go up here and see all the things I've made for my character. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to fit all those colors in, but I'll leave the white and brown as the base pieces and get some fun oomph and focus on the color sections. So the pink, purple, blue, and green. Then I needed to go in my stash and figure out what colors I have. I have them sitting next to me, is why I'm looking down over here. And I'm now going to show you them, and I'm going to kind of hand this process over to Narration Fathom or Editing Fathom, because I want to focus on getting this project done, because I have 9 days from when I'm filming this to finish it fully. Ends weaved in, ready to run around in the woods. So I'm going to go film the footage of me showing you these, and then I'm going to get started. If you want something like this, you can commission me at my website. And also, you should comment and tell me now, before I finish the video, how many days do you think this will take me? Let me know in the comments below. Ready, set, go! Pew pew pew! For this vest, I picked out a wide variety of yarn colors, yarn textures, yarn material makeups. I just wanted to really add to the scrappy vibe of this piece. The color palette they gave me when I asked about what their character was planning to wear was pink, blue, purple, green, browns, beiges, and whites. I decided, with all those colors in mind, to focus more on the vivid colors in that set, so the base outfit could be kept plain and let the yarn do a lot of the talking for them. With that in mind, I grabbed some light lavenders, some deep greens and navies, some like blush pinks, some bright pinks, some muted blues, a whole lot of stuff. I also got some acrylic, some cotton, some bamboo. I think I grabbed like a polyester spandex blend at one point. Once I had 16 to 18 balls of yarn out, I then began the real process of making the vest in earnest. The first real step to getting started is taking all the colors I grabbed and laying them out one by one until I had a color gradient I was happy to work with from start to finish. Eventually, I settled in on a final color layout that I'm going to show you, and I'm so sorry for my poor videography skills inserted here. Once I had that, I did some math. I had picked out in my final gradient 11 colors for the game plan, leaving extra colors in case of yarn running out unexpectedly or other hiccups in my process. The vest itself in the pattern is approximately 32 rounds. I say approximately since I can add or remove rounds depending on the sizing needs of the person I'm making it for. This means that I should plan on changing colors about every 3 rounds, give or take. With the math out of the way, I grabbed my 5.5mm hook and finally was able to get to work for night 1 of this project, starting at 5:28 p.m. I finished off the first color in less than 10 minutes and dove straight into working on the second. This pattern is super simple to follow, at least for me, so I just chilled and watched a live stream VOD while I worked. By the 30-minute mark, the first 2 colors were fully done. I was feeling really good about how it was looking thus far, too. As I was doing the third color, I decided I wanted to throw in an extra color change here, since the shell stitches created this flower petal look. I didn't want them to get hidden by putting more of the same color. So, I grabbed some of my discarded colors from the original color selection that we talked about before, and threw it in at this point to just make it all pop. At the start of round 10, which was about an hour into working, I decided I was going to take a break and rest my hands and just sit and play some video games for a little bit. I got myself a tasty apple cider donut from the local apple orchard. I got a glass of water to have with some ibuprofen for my hurting back. And then the break just kept going and was 3.5 hours instead of the planned half hour. But I did go back and finish round 10 before calling it for the night. For my second evening working on this project, I got straight into the next color change and went to town. My start time for the night was 5:07 p.m., and I put on some random YouTube videos to keep me company while I worked. After a strong, straight hour of working, I took a break to have dinner. Then, I didn't get distracted for once. I jumped right back into the vest right after I finished eating. I spent about 2 full hours total working on this for night 2 before I called it and gave myself a break. I left after finishing round 15, and I could definitely tell that the rounds were starting to get longer as I worked, meaning it was starting to feel a little bit like it was dragging on. I wish I could say that I continued to work at that breakneck pace over the next few days, but I most definitely didn't, because after day 2, I proceeded to take 3 full days off of working on this vest. In my defense, I had a day of market prep, a market itself, it would have been 2 if one of them wasn't rained out, and I took a day off afterwards like I always do in order to kind of reset myself for my work week. If I hadn't typed all this in the script, I would have forgotten where I left off on the pattern, so I'm glad that I at least wrote down what I was doing before taking the time off. So, on day 3, technically day 6, I got started on round 16. And as I was finishing it, I read ahead for the next round and spotted that today was an exciting day for me. It was armhole time. I tore through the round that made the armholes and kept on powering through, reinvigorated by the sudden change in what was going on in the pattern. Since the person this is for is much smaller than I am, I wasn't really able to try it on and see it accurately lay on me for the progress, but I could tell that it was looking fantastic. By the end of the night I worked on this, I had worked for 4 full hours straight, which meant that I had finished 9 rounds by the end of the night. Math wise, that meant that I left off at round 25 of 32. On our 4th working day, I decided to make a change and lock in. Most nights I worked on this, I made it my after work personal project. I decided on this day it was going to be my priority work wise, meaning I started on it fresh and early around 8 a.m. in the morning. After all, I only had 7 more rows to finish, so I thought it would be a relative walk in the park that I could knock out before lunchtime. I was sort of right on that front. The rows did begin to drag out once more the further in I got, but they weren't difficult. They were just a little bit tedious for me. It also meant that I spent a lot more of my workday on the vest than I meant to, but can you blame me? I got to make a cool vest. Eventually, after a lot of patience and persistence, I managed to finish off the final rounds, fastening off the yarn for the final time. At this point, I looked at the clock and it was already 2 p.m., and I had not had breakfast because I was excited to work on the vest, and I had not made lunch because I had been sitting and working on the vest. So I gave myself a small break. I got some food, got some water, and at this point, I began weaving in my ends. Slowly and surely, I crawled my way over the finish line of weaving in ends, completing this piece at around 3:30 p.m. on day 4. In the end, this vest turned out so much better than I had been hoping when I was trying to picture it in my head. I think that I blended the colors really cohesively and made them look a lot more natural together than I was originally afraid of when I read them out from the text message and laid them all out together. While it still is a little bit small on me, I did put it on in order to film this clip to show you, and the drapiness of the fabric and the feel of the materials of the vest are still a 10 out of 10 in my book. I was a little bit worried when I put on the final yarn around the edge, since I had to triple strand it to make sure that it was the same thickness as everything else, and it was a very unique texture. But I think that in the end, it really added to the forest dweller, plant person vibes that I was trying to encapsulate. It's this spandex polyester yarn. I don't know how to describe it, where when you pull it too hard, it comes apart unless it's in multiple strands. But it's also like stretchy to an extent, but it's also brittle because it yanks apart when you're not careful. It was a weird one to try and brainstorm what I was going to do with it, but I think that I encapsulated what I was going for really well. As of my time filming this, I've already given the vest over to its new owner, and they seemed to absolutely love it. We hugged afterwards, and they were very excited and put it on right away to kind of do a little show for me. And they made a point of telling me that they would treasure it forever, which made me really happy to hear. Because sometimes, like, I have imposter syndrome. I get in my own head that they're just being nice to me, but seeing them, like, carry it around all day, even when they weren't wearing it, like, they didn't want to put it down, made me feel really good about having made this piece. I genuinely do believe that they loved it, and that makes me really happy to say. And with that, I am going to thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked watching me make this thing. I'm very excited to give it to them this weekend. When I say this weekend, for me it's this weekend. For you it's like 3 weeks ago. Sorry, I'm a very slow editor. Deal with it. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you're going to do one of these 3 things. Make it subscribing so you can see all the other fun, interesting things I make around here. I'm going to stutter over my words every time I speak from now on. Sorry. Today's question of the day is, did I make it in more time or less time than you thought? I think in total I spent like 10, 11 hours total on it. Like actually sitting and working. I spent longer because like I took breaks throughout it. But if we're counting just the working time, like 10-ish hours, which is not that bad. Let me know if you guessed correctly down in the comments below. If you want to support me other ways, you can come see me on October 4th at the Madison Street Festival. I'll be there in the Crafters Cove. We can all hang out. Or you can go to my website, or my Etsy, or my Ribbler, all down in the description. Ooh, gloobly. I am high off the energy of completing a project, and it's, what, 3 days until the LARP? And I think I'm gonna make another project for the LARP. It's an addiction, I'm sorry. I'll make a video out of it. Would that make you all forgive me if I make a video out of it? Comment if that would make you forgive me if I make another video about making a project in the same style as this video. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that now, because I am tired, it's near the end of my workday, and I want to work on something new. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.